had some issues with the equipment, plus operator issues, I guess, at the same time. So they started up Red Mountain Road and strayed off the center. Is that a good way of putting it?
That's a very polite way of putting it.
with paint. Very simply put, we've got pictures of it, and I'm sure Todd's got some on his phone, but they painted in all kinds of different directions up there. The reason for that being is that if you go up Red Mountain Road, the second corner to the left as you start up the hill is a very sharp turn. If you've ever seen one of these striping trucks out, they have a wheel out in front that follows the edge of the road.
Quite a
You
ways
put
out
that
front.
wheel out in front on that corner, and the rear of the truck's on the wrong side of the road. And that's exactly what happened. So every time that road has been done in the past, the operator has been a little bit more knowledgeable, maybe is the way of putting it. And he's looked at that and he said, that ain't gonna work. They go up to the top and come down. So this guy started at the bottom, started up through, realized it wasn't gonna work, went up to the top and came down, and so we had lines like this. They never came together.
2 feet
They
apart
were
at
all over
least.
the place.
And there's also a spot where it looks like he dropped at least a quart of paint in one particular spot.
They had trouble. It was just sort of a fiasco.
At least a quart of paint.
When did this take place?
That's right.
Probably
To the
more.
right of the line.
Yeah, right where Todd drove up.
Right where Todd,
Right before I drove through, yes.
It was, I don't know, was it Wednesday?
Oh, very recently.
yes, yeah.
20
It was just,
Yeah. I
Was it a Monday? I wasn't
It
in
was a
town.
Monday.
I was
It was 2
gone.
weeks
Yeah, because I emailed you on Monday night, and I know you're only in on Mondays typically by email.
Yeah, I was-
Monday night.
I think it was a Monday, but I didn't get
Out
home
that
until
week.
after dark and I didn't even
So-
notice him.
So the question right now, and let me just tell you where I'm at as far as fresh coat goes. I got back Saturday and looked at stuff, and there was several phone calls. Monday morning, I called Freshcoat and talked to the foreman of the company. And didn't get a lot of results from him, maybe is the way of putting it. He was in sort of a situation where his guys didn't even tell him about it, so he had no
He
way
had
of
no
knowing
knowledge.
what happened
Right.
until Gary called him and sort of jumped on him a little bit. So that turned into kind of a conflict there, which you can understand. And the bottom line was, the whole discussion was that, you know, he didn't feel he was responsible for vehicles driving over that paint. They shouldn't have drove over it. He did say, you know, I won't send you a bill for the $408, which is $408. Really not a lot of money.
So-
That was the cheapest option for him to get out of the whole thing. Okay? Since then, I've had 2 calls to the owner of the company, and I have not got a response from him. So at this point in time, their position is that, I'm sorry, I know it happened, but I really can't help you. That's where they're at. I hope that'll change in the next couple of days. It hasn't yet. Janet called the League of Cities and Towns. So based on what Todd's gathered for information to redo his truck, we've got that information plugged into the League of Cities and Towns to start a case as far as the insurance coverage goes. You know, who ultimately pays in the end? My position at this point, really, the town needs to fix the vehicles. That's sort of my priority. And I don't care if it's Todd or whoever's sitting
Yep.
out there. I know there's probably some other ones too. You know,
And Sunderland's
we're-
dealing with the same thing too.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sunderland
They
is
did it, they
worse.
really put the mess around.
So I have a question about the painting process.
Yep,
So typically, I mean, I think we've all driven on the highway when they're painting lines. We've been behind line painting, or we've come up to where lines have been painted. Typically, the contractor places a portable diamond sign that says like wet paint ahead, line painting ahead, whatever. Sometimes there's a flagger, sometimes there isn't. So when they painted for Arlington, do they forego any signing, any flagging, any warning of anyone driving on the roadway that the paint is wet?
they had a follow me truck. I don't know exactly how that was working up there.
There was no signage, no follow me truck, no nothing.
No cones?
Was the
Yeah.
paint truck still there?
If there were signs and there were cones here, I wouldn't even be here to talk to you.
Yeah, but also-
I'm a dummy, I drove over the lines.
But if they dropped huge amounts of paint, it wouldn't matter, it might have been an hour later and the paint would still be wet.
I mean, even if they put a cone over that blob of paint that they dropped and I drove over it, I'm a dummy, that's
Right.
fine.
Well, I think that's where I'm going, because I think, I don't know, I did not research what the DOT standards are for line painting, but I suspect that there are some standards out there
Yeah.
that state that between DOT and OSHA, that it needs to be properly signed and warned to people driving. I mean, people just can't, if there's no warning to say that it's wet, how is any driver really
Exactly.
to know that it is or isn't wet?
So Todd,
What I hit was the pool or the puddle of,
The quart of
I don't know if
paint.
they spilled it.
Because I think the regular paint dries pretty quickly. It's just when you have these.
If it's applied at the
If
rate
it's applied
it normally
properly,
is, it dries
you know.
fairly
So
quick.
what I'm learning, based on, because I've talked to other people around the community, and the company that did the estimates for my truck, is now up to 6 different people from Sunderland and Arlington coming in. Is it almost seems like they put too much paint down, and it didn't dry in time.
So what,
It's
it may
completely
not,
separate than what.
so it may
I
not
did.
just have been these blodgettes, these globules of paint, it may have been just a lot of paint on
I
the
think people got
line.
some paint on their vehicles.
Okay.
I mean, mine was excessive
Right,
because of
right,
the blob of whatever happened to their
yeah,
machine,
yeah.
which caused the excess damage. But
So I think there's a couple of different issues. I agree that it's the town of Arlington's responsibility to make this right for the community members who had their property damaged. But then I think we turn around and we go to the company, whether it's a question
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
rules, that if they broke rules. I mean, clearly they didn't apply it properly. I mean, and then we have that recourse in terms of
Yeah, I mean,
the company, and
ultimate-
it isn't, $400 doesn't do it, so.
No,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we hired the contractor, so we're liable to Todd's vehicle because we hired the contractor. And then I think that it would be worth, if you have not heard back from the owner at Fresh Coat, at this point, it would be worth getting the town attorney to send them a letter via certified mail.
But I also think they may really have no idea with exactly how bad it was and what happened, because their employees did not
They
tell
got-
them.
But they got pictures of it.
They got pictures now?
Yeah, so I think that the town attorney should start to handle
My-
that process.
Let me throw this at you for a second as a first step. We've presented it to the League of Cities and Towns. I would assume, and this is just an assumption on my part, it's the way it's worked before, is that the League of Cities and Towns will do what they need to do for the town of Arlington, and then they will go after either the contractor or their insurance for reimbursement. So,
Really?
oh yeah.
yeah, that's.
The insurance company will go?
Oh, that's-
Well, the insurance
that's
company will
normal.
definitely, but I,
Okay.
yeah, I don't,
For us to start, I mean, I can wait a couple more days for a call back from the contractor, or from the owner, but it may be a waste of our time to start a whole legal process that'll cost everybody more money.
well, if you already have the League of Cities and Towns on it, I think it would be worth having the town attorney to at least send Fresh Coat a letter, putting them
Yeah.
on notice.
Give me a couple more days and see if the owner gets back to me.
Much more patient than
and,
I would be.
Well, I mean, I got the
The people who
priority.
had damage are gonna be taken
Priority
care
is to
of.
get the vehicles
Yeah,
fixed.
let's get them all first.
A couple of days here or there.
We're
is
gonna have to
fine.
pay that out of our pocket to start.
Yeah, we have
Right.
to work it out on the back end.
Right.
We've got
Yes.
$1,000 deductible.
So our insurance will, other than the deductible, will take care of this.
In the long run, yes,
Yes.
yeah. And then they will in turn go after the company. But we need to discuss it a little more with League of Cities and Towns, just how that process works. And if they feel they need backup, I can certainly talk to Joe and have him just put a letter together that gives our position.
Absolutely.
We've got an estimate for Todd's vehicle. I don't know, do you know of any other neighbor up there, or anybody that may be coming in or talking?
I know the Terrier's vehicle had damage, he brought it to a body shop in, Bennington. He's friends with the guy was able to get the paint off of the metal, just like Barry said he could for mine. His plastics weren't quite as damaged. they're trying to get off the plastics now.
Okay.
So I don't know what.
Interesting to see how.
Would it be worth checking in
Works
with
out.
Sunderland? Have you checked in with Sunderland about this?
Sunderland's got issues, but Sunderland in my, and this is, you know, second and third hand, some of it. They had a follow-me truck. Some of the, as far as the lines going down the road at different angles, that was because the follow-me truck was running over the lines and driving down the road. So,
What was this, Beavis and Butthead? What is
Well,
going on here?
we don't want to get into that.
Okay,
too deep.
but I think, but the
But-
other thing, so okay, then we'll do our own thing, but then I think the other thing is, we're gonna reconsider the way.
Sunderland has already paid their bill, okay?
Yeah.
That's, so Sunderland has done their thing, and that's up to them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're, you know.
Yeah, no,
we're-
but I mean, in the future, we're gonna re-examine how we've been doing this, because this didn't work.
Yeah, and I think we have to re-examine
Oh,
the
and-
use of
And
that
if they're not,
contractor again.
if they're not
Yeah.
responsive, I don't think we use that
But it isn't,
contractor
but it isn't
again.
just
No,
that,
they
it
do not
isn't just
use
that,
it.
it's the
That's what
question
we
of
can
doing
anyway.
the contract along with Sunderland.
Right.
I mean, I know, understand about the
Yeah,
setup cost,
that too.
but we have to
Yeah.
somehow have as a criteria that someone from our highway department is able to be with them, that someone, because if someone,
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that's small job, like I said, Sunderland.
I
Highway
understand,
department
I
was there and
understand.
saw it and stopped it, I mean, before
Yeah.
it really got started. But it just one of those.
It makes a sticky situation that our roads were painted on a Sunderland, off of a Sunderland
Right, and it makes
contract.
perfect sense why we've been doing it that way, but we just need to,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
I mean,
there,
the simplest way to do it is not paint those roads anymore. They weren't painted for 20 years. And we started it because we thought it was a good thing. But in this case, it makes you think about it. You know, that $408 will cost you.
I mean, it's
you know,
not
but
really.
what are we gonna do now? Are we gonna
But-
hire someone to black out the crazy
We
lines?
were
We're gonna
already
have to.
doing that. As soon as it stops raining and the road dries out, Gary's already got the stuff to go
Okay,
out there and
okay,
cover.
Yeah,
All right,
I figured it was just weather related that he hadn't gotten
Yeah.
that far yet.
He got all the stuff last week, it's just waiting for Mother Nature to get rid of it, and then we'll.
that's gonna be
I mean,
cool.
we blocked them
gotta
out,
dry for a
and then
few
by
days.
the spring they'll be scraped off anyways.
Oh, it
So
won't take that long, probably, but- The old lines are still visible, so.
barely,
we may-
but they're.
We may be able to get them painted, we may not, depends on Mother Nature.
I don't.
It's supposed to be nice the rest of the week, so they will get up there and paint. them
Should
out.
dry off in a
Which
couple
they
of
can.
days
Block
and they
them
can do
out.
it.
Yeah.
So,
How do you want me to proceed? Maybe you're gonna answer, and I'm interrupting, I apologize. How do you want me to proceed?
uh,
It's all submitted and we got it back from the league, so.
yeah, as far as
that claim number.
your numbers have been sent up there. The simplest way to do it, and you may not want to do it this way, would be for you to get the work done, pay it, and submit us a bill from you. Does that work for you?
Well, I'm not $2,500.
Yeah.
That much, that's the estimate?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
All
so
the way
that-
up the side of my truck,
24 something.
24.76.
24 and change. Yeah.
Is it damaging things more by staying on it?
It is not damaging things more.
Like it's not
The
eating
plastic
into it.
is damaged the same.
Okay.
But he's also driving around with a vehicle that's yellow paint
No,
on it.
I get that, I get that. It's just that I'm not, I mean, how does the
I mean,
insurance
I know
company?
Barry will also bill the town,
Not in my pile.
if that's what you want to do too. I'm just looking for your direction.
Look it over.
I don't think we should ask your residents
can
to
keep
lay
it
that
if you
money
want.
out front.
Well, I guess that's up to the board. How do you want to do it? Do you want to have them go to town?
I'm in agreement with that. I don't think he should
I
have
think the
to.
one thing that we do have to look at
Finance it.
is that we don't want to open this up to everybody in town.
Oh,
So it would have to be, if we're going to do it that way, it would have to be an agreement where each individual would come in and get approval to do it.
Oh, I think it's on a case-by-case
Absolutely.
basis.
Case-by-case basis.
Absolutely.
If not, I mean, if the news gets out that we're just
When
accepting the board.
when we've done things like when the plow truck kicks up a boulder and it hits somebody's side window or something,
Mhm.
how do we do things like that? Do they get it repaired and submit the bill and we do how do we do that?
Normally, the way that works, they get it repaired, pay us, or pay for it, submit the bill to us, and we reimburse them and then give it to the league.
I think we need to follow that procedure. I think it's the
You're
same.
talking $500.
It's 500 versus $2,500. I
If you
don't.
want me to shell out $500, I'll go shell out $500, but you want me to shell out $2,500 and then wait who knows how long to get my $2,500 back?
That's.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
a
the
little
difference.
excessive.
I mean, if we have agreed to this situation, when you submit the bill for reimbursement to the town, the longest you're gonna wait is 2 weeks, because we meet every 2 weeks.
No, it's still
So-
$2,500.
It's still $2,500.
I understand that.
For-
I understand that. I
For
just-
something that I have no responsibility in.
I understand that, I understand that.
I mean, ultimately, there could, I mean, if Todd wanted to, he could go a different direction, which costs us a considerable amount more money. So I think this is the less expensive route out.
I don't think he should be threatening to sue us on his behalf.
Well, that's the fact of the matter.
That's
If you think
essentially what
about
you
it.
just did.
Not go there.
So,
My recommendation is that, on a case-by-case basis, the work be done and the town accepts the bill for it. In other words, the town is the actual, gets the-
Langway bills us,
whoever.
so in this case.
Langway's who I went to, and again, like if the town said, well, we do all of our business with Bennington Auto Mall, I'm willing to go to
No,
Bennington.
no, no, we're
I
not,
don't care.
no, we're not saying that. Okay, I guess I would just like to, in line with this question of the magnitude, I would like to say, and we can handle this on a case basis and do this. Excuse me?
Is that the estimate?
That was a fictitious number that Todd threw at me.
I didn't read page.
That was the
three.
first page, that was the third page, the fourth page had a different number. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was only part of the estimate, and then this was the total. That did include tax now. You probably can get the tax taken off, but
But
that's the final number, that's
Could
his
we-
estimate. Okay.
could we consider having some sort of order of magnitude in terms of when we do it this way or when we ask someone to pay for it and get reimbursement? I just, we don't have to do that right now.
I mean, I think we had an incident 2 or 3 years ago where a plow truck hit a vehicle, and that was like 15 or 1,800. The owner paid for it and we reimbursed. But I don't, we can work with a number. I understand where Todd's coming from.
That was on Red Mountain too.
It was on Red Mountain, that's
It's a problem
That's,
community up there.
Yeah,
no,
we don't really run tight ship up there, bad things happen. In more ways than one.
we won't go there yet. We'll stay away from that one. So I don't disagree, we could set.
I mean, let's go ahead and do this. I just think we
$500 or whatever
we
it
should
might
think
be.
about
Yeah.
what's reasonable. I mean, I
Okay.
think, going forward, just so that we have some kind of rule of thumb, because you just never know what's coming down the pike, and I
mean,
think
we
it would be
could-
good to.
The best way to do that would be actually put it right into a policy.
I know,
Yes.
and we're not gonna
Yeah.
do that tonight, and we can take care of Todd's
Yeah.
situation. I don't have any problem with that. I just think it would be good to, to have an articulated, agreed upon policy, which we can always have exceptions to, so, just so that people know what to expect, and so that,
Yeah.
if any of us are approached about a subject, we know what to tell
Mhm.
people, this is what you should expect.